Hey guys, J77 here doing a flashback review of Back to the Future Part 3. It is the third and final installment of the Back to the Future trilogy, and it is actually a much better, well-received film by both movie reviewers and by fans alike. As I said in my last vlog review, if you might call it, I have simply said that although this film is still one of my personal favorite, all three of them are. 2 was the least liked by critics and by fans on account of the confusion, or what I felt was the inconsistency of the time traveling and the explanation of why things was happening throughout that whole entire film. This one chose the Wild West approach. As you know, if you saw the ending of the second installment, they was like left in a cliffhanger and scenes of the third Back to the Future, which was completely set in the West. There was no more of these, jumping through different time areas. It was in one spot, one place, and it focused on a main story. In this one, it picks off right where the second one left off. Doc Brown coming through, finding out that Marty McFly has been traveling back and forth. They have to basically get him back to 1985, but they have to find a time machine first, which Doc Brown, his counterpart, which was set back in the Wild West, have left instructions. They end up going to an old abandoned mine out in the cemetery, out in some graveyard somewhere. They actually finding out finding the DeLorean, realizing the damage, but they was able to, this time, unlike the first film, which they needed petroleum. They just needed a few parts from the 1950s, and pretty much that was it. However, as they pick up the time machine, as they load the time machine up to be brought back to Doc Brown's house, Doc Brown made a shocking discovery, or his dog made a shocking discovery, that he is dead. One can only ask why he's surprised, considering that he traveled back to the 1800s. It's beyond me, but he finds out that he was murdered by Mad Dog Tannen, which is again Biff's ancestors from the past. Always love when they keep bringing this bring this character up. It's always a thrill for me to see that they always keep him as the main villain. So what ended up happening was they found some information. They found Doc Brown picture standing toward the newly built clock tower that's actually now being presented up in to Hill Valley. And Michael J. Fox, Marty McFly, says it best: "I'm coming to get you. I'm going to go back into 1885 and pick you up." Which he did. He travels back in time, going through Visa, the drive-through theater. He travels back to 1885, bump into some Indians. They end up chasing him. He end up escaping the chase a little bit, but unfortunately, he damaged the DeLorean, which we'll get back to in a second. He actually bumps into his ancestors. I'm sorry, which is the first McFlys, the first immigrant McFlys, and in terms of that, he found his other ancestor, which was a baby that he had, the first McFly born in America. I'm going to be very straight up honest with you. This is not the main part of the story. The main part of the story is what I'm going to talk about right now. I'm going to make this very quick. He goes to a saloon in the Wild West of Hill Valley, and in that saloon he meets Biff B. Tannen. He ends up getting to a situation with him where he just end up getting spit all over him. He gets chased down. First time that actually the Tannens won, because they got him, dragged him all over the damn place. Almost hung him, almost killed him by strangling him, by hanging him up in there. And then Doc Brown shows up. Doc Brown holds this ridiculous looking shotgun that only Doc Brown can make. And you see the argument back and forth and the premises of why Mad Dog Tannen wants to kill the doctor. In the In the process, they embrace again. Happy to see him. He explained what's going on. He also finds out that he has a love interest that was mentioned. I think her name was Clara, and because of that, he wants to get out as quickly as possible. Only the problem, that car that was damaged was leaked gasoline, and there's no gasoline in the West. There haven't been no gasoline at all, even though they may have petroleum, which caused them to go, back and forth to time. They still need gasoline to run the car, and therefore they are now stuck in 1885. So they go through this whole thing of trying to figure out how to get back to 1885 when they came up with a plot to have the train pushed to DeLorean to 88 miles an hour to get through the time frame. All throughout the whole thing going on, Doc Brown bumps into his love interest, which surprisingly was the main arc of the story. Not Marty McFly, but Doc Brown, and which is played by Christopher Lloyd, and Clara, I hope I'm saying her name right, which was played by Mary Steenburgen. I'm going to tell you, I thought that was the best move they made in that movie because, it was great to see Doc finally get a girl in this one. I was actually rooting for that. I was actually into the love affair. When I was in that theater, everybody was really focused on that. I love you, Michael J. Fox. You'll always be the best in that, but it's time that Doc gets his, and I was very rooting for that. But in all seriousness, yeah, this film was more on Doc Brown and this lovely lady than anything else in this film. And because of that reason, this is why this film worked. The film started off very slow. There's no question about it. It did start off slow. It had a good pickup pace in the beginning, but for some reason, after the great chase that Marty McFly was being pursued by Biff Tannen, the film started to slow down. It really did, up to about probably the party where Biff threatens Mad Dog Tannen threatens Doc Brown's life, and you have this whole crazy situation where Marty interferes, and now Biff wants to kill him, but unfortunately he has no real gun. That was the only gun he had. How only can shoot one bullet. It was a real small little pistol, and he threatens to kill him tomorrow. Unfortunately, they had a chance to have to rob a bank, so it was a whole lot of stupid and food, which I was actually laughing through because it was only this stuff can happen in the theater, but it was actually kind of fun. And he made plans to meet him for a one-on-one, a draw at a certain time. Marty McFly thinking he's slick, saying that, hey, look, we'll be gone, we'll be out of here a long time ago. But Doc Brown mentioned having faith on a train that may show up late, and that was kind of funny. But what ended up happening was Doc Brown beat death. He actually his name was erased from the tombstone. But what was happening, because Marty McFly don't know how to back away from the fight, that tombstone slowly started reading his name, so he was now in danger of being killed in that time stream because of what happened. And he ended up finding out that that Doc Brown was keeping something from him about his future, which he didn't tell him. I had a little bit late for now. All that jumping back and forth, you could have at least told him, give him a little hint that, hey, bro, you need to calm down your temper because it's gonna get worse. Anyhow, that sets up a lot of things. They were running out of time. They want to get this thing done. They end up doing a whole lot of shenanigans in the end. Doc Brown accidentally hurt the woman he loves. Ended up getting drunk out of one shot of whiskey. That kept them delayed longer. Claire, who actually saved them that train for being moved ahead, actually delayed that train, which I think people seem to miss. It wasn't for Claire getting off that train, pressing the emergency brakes, that train would have been long gone. So that actually helped them more than anything else. In Sioux, they beat the bad guys. They beat the bad guys, and we was treated to probably the best 10-15 minutes of the whole entire Back to the Future 3. That great that great train scene with Doc Brown, with Doc Brown, Claire, and also Marty McFly being involved. Now, Marty McFly was already in the car, so you pretty much know he was secure. The real question was, can Doc Brown and his love interest get in that DeLorean? And unfortunately, they didn't, but they still was together. The film ended brilliantly. I will tell you that the film ended just the way it's supposed to end. It had the best sign off in the world with that flying train. Everybody in the theater was on their feet when they saw that train flew up and just went right straight to the credits saying the end. Everybody cheered that because that was pretty much the best ending throughout the whole series. It definitely made up for 2. My final analysis on this movie, let me tell you right now, for what it's worth, this was a better sequel than the third, than the second one. I'm sorry. It had the feeling of Back to the Future. It had the feeling of adventure and excitement. And for the first time, I really enjoyed that. Didn't mind that Marty McFly was a co-star. I really did care about those 2 characters, which was played by Marion Steenburgen and Christopher Lloyd. I really cared about them getting together. I wanted them to get together. When Doc Brown tried to tell him the truth that he was from a different time and she didn't believe her, she didn't believe him. And by the way, her name is Claire. I'm sorry about the name. I'm apologizing for that. But the film you really felt his pain, because when she smacked it, everybody said, "Oh, that they felt it." I mean, we felt it in the audience, and that's a good thing. Because we really did care for those 2, right straight down to the end of the film. Like I said, the true problem with this movie really was the second quarter of the movie, because it did slow down. It really was nothing more but talking and expedition. It really had a problem keeping up, and I was a little bit surprised on how much expedition was in that quarter. But once it picked up again, it didn't slow down. It just kept going and going, and it was fun. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it for what it's worth. Again, I understand why 2 was not well done, but 3 really did pay homage to the first film. I really do. And I am going to be reviewing the first film, guys. I just want to get the third one out the way. And I will put the second one in a different category, because I think the first one you really need to do a little bit more than just talk. You need to explain into why this film works so well. But for what it was worth, the third one really did pay true tribute to the first one. And to me, there hasn't been talk about another remake. I hope they don't do it. Leave these 3 movies alone. I love these films, but I want them to be just the way they are. Don't mess with this trilogy. This trilogy is perfect the way they are. Robert Zemeckis did a great job with these movies. Let it be. Let us hold on to these classics. Out of all the classics, I do not want to make another remake of this one. But at a scale of 1 to 4, it gets its 3 stars. It would have gotten a 3.5. With the exception, problem is, like I said, at the quarter, it really slowed down, where to the point where you almost didn't lost interest on this movie. But when it picked up, it didn't stop. I mean, you was really into it. And again, the love story and the fact that Marty McFly was not the main character in this movie, and that it was Doc Brown and this girl, perfect. Because it gave us a reason to really keep focus on this film, because you really want him to, really want him to get the girls for a change. Marty McFly already got his girl, but we wanted him to get we wanted Doc Brown to get his. I'm not done with this series. I got two more reviews to do about the series. The first one, of course, Back to the Future, the original movie, and unfortunately the animated series, which I will be touching on briefly on. But for now, this is J77. I hope you guys take care.